What's up, Kansas City? I'm Keisha, and I'm joined here by Tom Love, and he's going to be talking to us about the accreditation for Kansas City School District. How you doing today, Tom?
We're having a good day.
Tom, tell us a little bit about what's going on with the Kansas City Accreditation program.
Well, they say we just passed the number of points required to actually meet accreditation for the first time in nearly 30 years. And it's quite an achievement. You know, they had the superintendent come through a school door building with cheerleaders, lined up. And you can see that on the internet if you want to look at the school district's website, cheering that we finally, got to that point. Although we may need to do that again for another year to get those necessary number of points to be considered fully accredited.
Well, so this is a good thing, right, Tom?
Well, sure. I mean, it sounds great, doesn't it? The reason that we're here, though, is to talk about what else needs to be done. And what I'm really concerned with is the reading problems in the school district. Reading affects all the courses pretty much in the district, and there's still a serious reading problem within the district, and there's a solution for that.
So where is Kansas City on the reading level, the school district, as we speak?
Well, as I looked at the paper that was handed out at the school board meeting last week, November the 16th, they had the annual progress report, and in this they have academic achievement highlights, and you can see here they have the ELA proficient and advanced increased from 33.4% to 35.2%, which means they had a 1.8% improvement in reading. But when you think about that, as how does it affect each child? If you're a mother and you have 3 children, this is saying that one of your children is reading on grade level and the other 2 are failing.
Wow.
And in math, they said that, well, we had a 1.4% improvement. And the state is giving credits or based on improvement, growth that's taking place in the district, so you get points for it. But we went from 22.4% to 23.8%. So we still, if you have 4 children, 3 of them are failing and 1 is actually passing math. So what the state's formula is not really reflective of what's going on in Kansas City, and I would really like to talk about the solutions of how to fix that to where we have a world-class district here in Kansas City and provide the correct help that the children need. So if I could take off on that.
No problem. What do you think the solutions would be to fix this?
Well, the first thing to take into account is to eliminate prejudice. Eliminate this idea that there's children in the suburbs are so completely different than children in the inner city. What happens in the suburbs, in the suburban districts, where they're highly successful, is they bring in reading specialists beginning in kindergarten. And the children there can receive 400 hours of semi-private tutoring before they enter 3rd grade. Here in Kansas City, when I started at this, finding out what was going on, turns out that we didn't have any reading specialists in the elementary schools, not one. And so the children here were getting absolutely no help. And it's so critical because 1 out of 5, and some people say 6, children have some level of dyslexia that the classroom teacher hasn't been trained to help. And so those children end up not learning to read and dropping out of school.
Wow.
And then, of course, if you drop out of school, you're not able to read, your chances for employment in the trades or even in the military, all those doors are closed. So we need to attempt to graduate or get 90% of our students reading on grade level like they do in some of the suburban districts. The way they do it, if we can pretend for a minute that you're the reading specialist and I'm the reading paraprofessional, you've got a master's degree in reading specialist and I have a couple of years of college, but you've trained me to help you. And we'll pull out 10 students an hour. And they half an hour they work with you, and my group has it. I get a half an hour, and then we rotate.
Mm-hmm.
And so the children actually get a full hour of tutoring. And when you count that, when you add it up, that's 60 students in a day. And if you have, that's basically, you can help 1/3 of all the kindergarten, first and second graders to get an hour of tutoring every day. And that's how you end up with up to 400 or more hours of reading help before you enter third grade. And it's phenomenal. The classroom teacher can work on the top 2 tiers, the top third and the middle third, and then the we would fix the bottom third. And so everybody rises, and all the other courses rise as well. Mm-hmm. So when the children can read the book that's presented to them, they can do great. One of the things that we've already worked on in the district was I found out there were a number of laws that were being broken, mm-hmm. or not taking advantage of, or misapplied. I'm not sure the correct mm-hmm. word for it. Maybe I shouldn't say broken, but we had summer school funding for students, and yet only for anyone below grade level. From the state of Missouri, they were attempting to help. And so they said, if you're a large urban metropolitan district like Kansas City, and you're below grade level, you can go to summer school. Well, we were only focusing on the students that were attempting to graduate from high school to get their credits. Mm-hmm. So we went from 1,500 students attending summer school to over 7,000. Over half the district is going to summer school now. But the former superintendent, Dr. Green, wasn't aware of that. We also were starting children a year before they were ready, before it was even legal in Missouri, here in Kansas City. So the state law said that, and I was a former lawmaker in Kansas. I was a state representative, so I dug into this one, went to Jeff City and talked to people that knew what was going on and found out about the various laws and how we could maybe improve things. And these superintendents, by the way, they're maybe here for a year or 2, 3, but they come in a lot of times from out of state and they're not even aware of what the state laws are. So this Missouri state law says you're not required to start first grade, or you are required to start first grade if you turn 7 before August the 1st. Mm-hmm. We had third graders that were 7-year-olds entering third grade here last year.
Wow, how does that happen?
Well, they were attempting to help in Jeff City by allowing the superintendents in large urban metropolitan districts to set the cutoff date. And it was only allowed in those large urban metropolitan districts. So we changed the cutoff date from August the 1st to October the 1st. School starts in August now. Mm-hmm. And so those children actually born in August and September, were starting as 4-year-olds in kindergarten. And so they would have been a full year older if they would have been in another district in other parts of the state. Right. And so they literally were not, a lot of them, developmentally ready to be successful when they entered first grade. And that's how they ended up, some of them, as in third grade as 7-year-olds, starting as 7-year-olds, and really being on either the second or first grade level. So it really, really hurt those particular students. We got that changed. But there's a number of laws like that and things. But in the reading thing that I would really like to see focused on at this point is that the Title I funds aren't being used correctly here. And so...
What's Title I funds?
Title I funds they're funds that come from the federal government to at-risk districts, or students that are free and reduced lunch. And you can have the entire school be considered a Title I school, and I think you have to have 40% or 45% of the students are considered at risk, and then the entire school is at risk. So there's all this money available to provide the reading specialist and the reading para, the literacy lab. Mm-hmm. And so we have the funds, and Olathe has 10 or 11 Title I elementary schools out of the 35, and they utilize those funds to hire the reading specialist and para and a math tutor at third grade. And so they're able to get 81%, 82, right in that 80 to 81% of their children reading on grade level at third grade and doing math at grade level because they have that, they utilize the funding correctly. In Kansas City, Missouri, we were allowing an administrator to make the decision that we're going to hire instructional coaches instead of the reading help and the math help. And so that was not complying with the federal rules and or the state of Missouri rules and regulations that said the parent, let's say you're a parent of a child that's failing in reading, and you say, well, I'd really like to get some reading help for my child. Well, that's what's supposed to happen. Then you and your first grade teacher, your second grade teacher talk about it, and then the principal, and they say, hey, there's a number of children here that are having problems with reading. We need a reading specialist in our school. And that's what happens. Well, really, we need the reading specialist, the reading lab in every elementary school all over the country in order to get a world-class education. And these incredible districts like you see in Blue Valley, Shawnee Mission, Olathe, Liberty, Lee Summit, Blue Springs, that's what they have. They may not set it up to where so as many of them get the full hour, for 4 to 5 days a week or whatever, but they still have that help available, and we can have the same opportunity for the children here or throughout the country if we would utilize the Title I funds effectively.
So why aren't the funds being used effectively? Do you have any explanation as to?
No. The administrator thought the way to solve the problem, because people are looking for the magic bullet, how do we fix this in the inner city schools? How do we fix this? And individual schools get turned around, but an entire district. So we're in the process of trying to turn the entire district around by providing the same help as taking place in other districts where they're successful. So we have to kind of erase the prejudice thing and go, just how are you guys doing this? Okay, let's do the same thing. And when that's done, like in Atlanta and Drew Academy, with at-risk children, they're able to break the 90% on grade level. That particular group has come to Kansas City and set up a charter school here, and they're going to utilize the reading specialist and para and the math teacher, just like they do in Drew Academy in Atlanta, and bring the scores up. And that's what I'm trying to get to happen here in Kansas City. I think there may be attempt that next year, but this particular administrator making the decision that was not legal. That was not according to the regulations, I should say, that was recommended by the state of Missouri. Unfortunately, the state of Missouri and the federal government are not watching how the money is actually being spent.
Right.
So the money's coming out and everybody's frustrated going, hey, there's all this money available, and these people in Washington or in Missouri are providing funds for things like summer school and whatever, and yet why isn't it getting there? Well, the Secretary of Education in Missouri or in Kansas or wherever these problems exist, and the ones in Washington are not seeing, oh, there's this huge reading problem. 2/3 of the students are failing reading. How are they spending the money? They're not checking that out. So when I talked to the former Secretary of Education in Missouri, when they were getting ready to shut down the district, like four and a half years ago, I said, Dr. Nicastro, I think we're going to be able to help turn this around. There wasn't any reading specialist in the Kansas City, Missouri School District in the elementary school, any of the elementary schools. And she says, oh, no, you must be mistaken. I mean, they must call them something else. She literally did not know that there wasn't that help provided. And the impact of it is devastating for at-risk children. And that's the tragedy of this story. But I think we're, hopefully with this interview and other, that we'll move the district to provide this help. Make sure that actually happens, that the principals and the parents and the teachers will make the decision and get that help, and turn this number completely around.
Okay, so if I'm a parent, Tom, what's a way that I stay informed with the accreditation and the policies being enacted by the Kansas City School Board? And what is a way that I can monitor the way that the district is spending the money as a parent to be informed? What's some ways I can do that?
Well, the key thing is to go to find out where your child is reading. Find out. Don't be satisfied. Well, your child had a growth of a certain percentage of growth.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, your child had a 70% growth. But if they're a year or 2 years behind, they're not even keeping pace. They need to have over a year's worth of growth or more
Mm-hmm.
in order to be. So I don't know that the district is intentionally misinforming parents, but you need to find out exactly what grade level your child is on. If they're reading below grade level, then they're going to struggle in all the subjects.
Mm-hmm.
And so you need to make sure that you need to say to the principal and to their teacher that when it comes to the Title I funds, I want help for my child. If we did that throughout the district, and if they comply with the rules, they're supposed to target that money to help. If you're you might be a elementary school that has half the students speak Spanish, let's say, and they're from Spanish-speaking parents, ESL, English Second Language. They may need a translator.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why the government has allowed these various choices to take place. But when we ignore the reality of that 2/3 of the students are failing in reading and 3/4 are failing in math, and there's no help given for those particular things, that we're really messing up. And we can be amazing if we actually provide the correct help.
Right. Kansas City has so much to offer, so we definitely want to be putting pressure on the school board to use the Title I funds for actual progress. So thanks so much, Tom, for coming on and letting us know what we can do as parents and as a community to help get the school board, the Kansas City School Board, on good track.
And I would like to say this. They wait until the last session, right at the very last week of school, to
Mm-hmm.
have what they call a Title I meeting. What I recommend parents to do is to ask their first grade teacher, their kindergarten teacher, their second grade teacher, to put their name down that they would like, if their child's having reading problems, put their name down that they want the Title I funds spent for a reading teacher.
Mm-hmm.
I actually attended like 5 different Title I meetings at the end of last year. There were a couple of schools where there literally was just one parent. And so if every kindergarten, first and second grade teacher, for example, had a form said your child is reading below grade level, would you like to have a reading teacher here? And then you have 2/3 of the parents say yes. And in 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th grade, they're struggling with math, and they say, hey, yeah, we want this.
Mm-hmm.
Believe me, it's going to happen, because the parents have the authority under the regulations to make the request, and the district is supposed to approve it. If it's a legitimate request, it's going to happen. Just go in, tell your teacher, put my name down. I want this to happen for the Title I form. Don't wait till the last week. Do it today. Do it tomorrow.
Right. Well, you heard that, parents. You have the power to impact the Kansas City School District and change your kids' lives. But thank you so much again, Tom, for coming on and educating us on the Title I funds and what we can do to make a difference in Kansas City.
You're welcome.
All right. And again, this is Keisha with What's Up Kansas City. To know better is to do better.
I'm IFBB Bikini Pro Cat Williams, and when I'm not working out in the gym, I'm searching the web on Cascade Media and What's Up Kansas City. So make sure you check them out.